just waiting for a few people to come in. And we're live on Facebook, so we're going to get going. Good morning, I'm Paul Markle, Executive Director of the Barrie Chamber of Commerce, and I'd like to thank you for joining the Barrie Chamber today for this session on growing your workforce with inclusive hiring practices. Research shows that inclusive practices help reduce turnover, improve attendance and safety records, engage employees, and boost company morale, all of which leads to higher performance in terms of revenue growth. There are many common myths about disabilities and those who have them, and dispelling these myths is one of the first steps towards creating a province that is more inclusive of the people who call it home. A BMO survey conducted by Pollara found that 70% of businesses are not hiring people with disabilities, which means that the majority of small businesses are missing out on some incredible, loyal, and dedicated talent. Over 14% of Canadians have a physical disability, and 20% of Canadians have a psychological disability. This highlights the fact that not all disabilities are visible. Our experts today will talk about the various employment services Empower Simcoe offers to assist people in finding competitive employment and or job shadowing opportunities. I will introduce our experts in a moment for the presentation, which afterwards we will go directly to a Q&A. So in order to submit a question, please use the Q&A button directly at the bottom of your screen rather than the chat within your Zoom platform, and type out your question. If you put stuff in chat, we'll try to get to it, but I'm really focused on the Q&A when we get to that part. I'll read the questions, not necessarily in order, and direct them to our experts for their responses. So I'd like to introduce our experts today. The first person is Sandy Calvert from Empower Simcoe. As an employment service coordinator, Sandy is passionate about inclusive employment, understanding the importance of connecting the right person to the right job, and building creative partnerships within the business community as a tool to increase employment and learning opportunities for people with disabilities. Sandy's goal is to help break down barriers and create a diverse workforce that's where individualized gifts and talents can shine. It's always a word that somebody can't say. Diane Rem from Empower Simcoe. Diane has been employed with Empower Simcoe for the past 27 years, where she currently works as an employment support and service coordinator. That's a long time to be with one company. Working with individuals, families, and businesses and government partners, Diane supports and navigates the world of employment for her clients. Following a client-centered approach, she has developed relationships with more than 60 community partner connections and continues to seek connections to assist employee matches. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to, I'm not sure who's going first, but I'm going to hand it over, and they have a PowerPoint presentation, and we'll be back in about 20 minutes, and we'll answer some questions. Thanks a lot. So take it away, ladies.
Thanks for having us here today, Paul. Much appreciated. Today we're actually going to be going over, and we'd like to give you a bit of an overview of Empower Simcoe and our employment support services. Today we'll explore how we create partnerships with the business community and assist people with intellectual disabilities to obtain meaningful and competitive employment. We will look at the benefits of having a diverse workforce and why it makes sense, good business sense, to hire people with unique abilities. Finally, we would also like to share with you some quotes that we've received from employers and showcase a few success stories. The agency was established in 1953 by parents that wanted to offer their children with intellectual disabilities an alternative. In April 2019, Empower Simcoe rebranded to align with our vision to empower people through inclusive programs and services leading to meaningful and fulfilling life. Today, we'd like to share with you information regarding our employment support program and our vision to build an inclusive workforce.
Did you know, according to Statistics Canada, 6.2 million Canadians, about 22% of the population, are living with some sort of disability. That's equal to the combined population of Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. It is the largest minority in the country. Myths and realities. Myths. Employees with disabilities won't be able to do as good a job as non-disabled employees. Well, the reality is 90% of people with disabilities rate average or better than average on job performance compared to their colleagues without disabilities. 75% of Ontario's small and medium-sized businesses that employ people with disabilities report that they meet or exceed expectations. I just wanted to tell you a little story about Lloyd. So this is Lloyd in the photo, and Lloyd came to Empower Simcoe in his 30s. He had never held a paid job before. He helped out his mom, and he had 2 younger siblings at home, and that's what he was doing. And then he finally decided he wanted to look for work. So we helped Lloyd with some of his interviewing skills, and he landed himself an interview at Shoppers Drug Mart here in Barrie. Lloyd was interviewing with the employer there, and as you know, the interview went on. The interview asked about Lloyd's interests, and Lloyd is a big baseball fan and knows all the amazing facts about baseball. And the employer was so impressed with Lloyd, he decided to hire Lloyd. And you can just have a quick look at what Lloyd has done here. And wherever he goes, we can easily see that his details for sports also goes to his details at work. Myth: there will be a lot of turnover among employees with disabilities. Well, the reality is job turnover among people with disabilities is estimated to be 20% of the rate of non-disabled employees. Statistics Canada research indicates that in organizations with accessible employment practices, employee retention is 72% higher. You will see in some of our success stories to follow that this is our experience at Empower Simcoe too.
Myth: people with disabilities need to be protected from failing. Reality: people with disabilities have the right to participate in a full range of human experiences, including successes as well as failures. Employers should have the same expectations and work requirements for all employees. And here we have a photo of Jonathan. Jonathan works at one of our local Tim Hortons. Jonathan is incredibly outgoing, friendly, and absolutely prides himself on providing excellent customer service. He always goes the extra mile. This gentleman before you is Mark Wafer. He is a former owner of multiple Tim Hortons restaurants located in Toronto. During his 25 years as a business owner, Mark has hired almost 200 workers with disabilities in meaningful and competitively paid positions. Mark is a member of the federal government panel on labor market initiatives for Canadians with disabilities, and he helped create Canada's national strategy on disability employment. He is the co-founder and Canadian Business Sensibility and was a member of Ontario's Economic Development Partnership Council. Mark is an advisor to many levels of government, nationally and internationally, and he is a very sought after keynote speaker.
Just want to point out on this quote, just the last line: at a cost of $4,000 in training and lost productivity per turnover, the savings are obvious. So this is a quote from Mark Wafer again. And reading this stat, it has been my experience that turnover is greatly reduced. People who I have supported in obtaining employment, once trained, will work in their positions for a long time, and in many cases, it'll be for their lifetime. Employers prefer hiring someone who wants to stay with their company and not have to keep hiring people and train over and over again for the same position. Initially, training may be more intense, but once the person knows the position, they do a great job. Less turnover. While turnover for employees with disabilities is less than 1%, turnover for Wafer's non-disabled employees is 55%, about half the industry average. Wafer suggests that employee engagement is enhanced due to its diverse hiring practice. Diversity and inclusion leads to increased teamwork, creative thinking, improved morale, and innovation in products and services. Many employers report that people with intellectual disabilities have many unique abilities. They work hard to prove themselves and secure employment once they have obtained it.
An inclusive workplace is more about the culture than anything else. It's about creating a workplace where everyone is treated with dignity, respect, and they're valued for their contributions. These values can be reflected in the company's mission statement. Business owners and managers who fully support inclusive policies know the importance of ensuring it's communicated to all employees. In an inclusive workplace, all employees are given the tools that they need and action is taken to remove any barriers. This brings to mind a story of a young man that I had supported, and at a local business, he really struggled with his literacy, and what he was required in his position was to place particular items on specific shelves, and the shelves were labeled at that point in time. We had talked with the employer and suggested that perhaps we could implement using photographs and pictures. And that's what we did. We had put those right beside where the words were written. And we had found, or the employer came back stating that, you know, the feedback he received from all of the other employees was fantastic. They found it easier, and they were found that items were, there was a lot more accuracy. People were putting things where they were supposed to. So this just is a really small example of how simple a barrier can be removed, and also how it can really benefit everybody.
So why is it important? Workplace culture is a system of shared meaning that separates one business from another. It sets the stage for everything from innovation, risk-taking, and performance to competitiveness and stability. Workplace culture sets the tone for how employees act and interact. An inclusive workplace is more likely to attract and retain a diverse workforce, which has the potential to outperform competitors. Essentially, an inclusive workplace benefits all employees.
So preparing your business to make the jump and being an inclusive is a smart business decision. It was estimated that by 2035, 40% of Ontario's consumer base will be people with disabilities. That's a huge chunk of the market that really no business can afford to lose out on. In addition to the power of people with disabilities themselves, 53% will be directly affected by disability. They will either have a disability or they will have loved ones that does. Combined with the purchasing power of people with disabilities, this group represents a massive $366 billion market. And customer loyalty. In 2008, Compass Research poll said 78% of Canadians were more likely to buy a product or a service from a business that had a hiring people with disabilities. They are a strong emotional connection to disability. And speaking of customer loyalty, here we are, and we have Jonathan back again. He's chatting and serving coffee to the Bayfield Aqua Babes. These lovely ladies are regulars. They come in on a weekly basis, not only for the delicious treats, but also for the excellent customer service and personal connection that they have developed with Jonathan. They also look forward to his weekly joke telling.
Reduce costs. Mark Wafer reported that his employees with disabilities have an 86% better attendance record than his employees who don't have disabilities. Retention rates of employees with disabilities are higher, saving on recruiting and training costs. This is Lauren. Lauren was hired at Wimpy's in Aurelia. She assists with clearing tables, rolling cutlery, and prep work for the cooks. Lauren loves her job and she never misses a day. Safety. Educating and role modeling safe work practice is a big part of our program. Research supports that employees with disabilities do not pose a higher safety risk on the job than their coworkers without disabilities. Hiring somebody with an intellectual disability does not increase your liability for workplace safety, workers' compensation, and general insurance coverage. According to the DuPont study, businesses rate 97% of workers with disabilities as an average or above average in terms of safety. And Mark Wafer states, after 21 years in business, that over 150 employees with disabilities, the company has never filed a WSIB claim for any of their employees with disabilities. I've been working with Empower Simcoe for over 27 years. And you know what? I've never filed a WSIB claim. And actually, I don't think I've ever even reported a workplace injury for anybody that we support. I think this is pretty amazing because I couldn't even tell you how many people I've supported over the years. But over 27 years, I can tell you it does add up to a lot of people. Improve employee engagement and morale. When employees feel included, they're more engaged. Highly engaged employees go the extra mile for the organization. This higher engagement has a ripple effect on profitability, team morale, and retention. So Marianne has gone above and beyond everyone's expectation. She has blossomed into a valued member of our Travelodge team. This is a quote from Susie Watson, Travelodge executive housekeeper. She is one of our inclusive employers, and after they hired Marianne, they've also hired 2 other people onto their team and are always willing to take on another candidate as their positions are available. And this is a picture of Susie. She is, of course, the housekeeping executive, Marianne, and Mary Wilson, who is the head of human resources at the Travelodge Barrie. Marianne works now at the Travelodge as a part-time housekeeper. When she came to Empower Simcoe, she wanted to get a job, but she was young and she wasn't really sure what she wanted to do. She knew she loved dogs because she had a dog at home, and she thought maybe working with animals was the way to go. So Marianne had a variety of job trials where she tried out pet stores and veterinarian clinics, and she found that the majority of her job was cleaning and that she really liked cleaning. So the Barrie Travelodge was looking for a part-time cleaner, a housekeeper. Marianne decided to try for the position, and at first she was a little slow and unsure and not sure about how to carry out the job. So we paired her with a job coach to learn how to clean the rooms and how to improve her speed. And with the support of the housekeeping executive, Susie, and her team, Marianne has become one of the leading housekeepers and has been working there now for over 5 years.
So now I'd like to share with you a quote from another employer champion. This is from George Murillo. He is actually the regional manager of Burger King. And he says, hiring employees supported by Empower Simcoe has been great. They're on time, ready, and showing pride in their work. It's great benefit having them as part of our team. And here's a photo of Chris. Chris is a young man who never misses a day of work. He's been working at Burger King for the last 7 years, and he is a really valuable member of that team. Prior to the pandemic, Chris held several part-time positions. He shows up every day with a great attitude and always willing to give 100%. His smile is contagious and always welcomed by all the customers. Chris is really the kind of employee that anyone would want to have on their team.
So what is supported employment? Supported employment is about helping people experiencing a disability enter the labor force. The service is provided through Empower Simcoe at no cost to your business. You'll have the opportunity to enrich your workplace culture and to help it become more inclusive. On our team, there are 4 employment support and services coordinators and multiple job coaches. Our coordinators have obtained a developmental service worker diploma and have over 20 years of experience working with people with an intellectual disability. Each coordinator supports a number of people who are in various stages of their employment journey.
What does an employment support services coordinator do? We start by learning about the person that we support and understanding their specific learning styles through a series of interviews and available information through Empower Simcoe. We work with the person to assist them in preparing for employment. This may include online learning, career exploration, or interview skills. We connect with the employer to learn about their business and the details of the position. This assists in matching the right person to the right job. We would support the person to attend the interview and assist with the onboarding process. We work with the employer to ensure any supports that are required, and such as a job coach, and we ensure that all that is in place. We build a relationship with the employer and facilitate a successful transition and relationship between the employer and the employee. Through education and advocacy, employers have come to recognize that hiring someone with an intellectual disability makes great business sense.
The employment support coordinators have developed solid relationships with hundreds of employers in Simcoe County. Continued success stories and feedback from employers have shown that hiring somebody with a disability provides them with an employee that is dependable and productive. So what does a job coach do? A job coach is trained to support the new employee to learn all aspects of the position. They do not perform the job. They assist the employee to learn and develop a routine working towards independence. The job coach may facilitate coworker relationships and develop useful tools as needed. In collaboration with the employer and the employment coordinator, the role of the job coach is reduced over time and gradually faded. I just wanted to point out that fading is basically reducing supports. So reducing supports is very individualized. It can start off with having the coach there the entire time to shifting to just popping in. This support is something that changes depending on the person and the job. So for an example, if a person is doing really well, the job coach may fade away and not be there. But if the person suddenly needs to learn a new process and needs support, then we can bring back the job coach in until the person is comfortable with that new process, and then that person would, the job coach, when they'd leave. So this is not to say that every time a person needs to learn something new, they need a job coach, but just that this support is something that we provide as needed. And the role of the coordinator is to continue the relationship with the employer and act as a resource.
And here we have a quote from Melanie Jacobs. Melanie's the general manager of OMS. She says, "In our experience, hiring from Empower Simcoe has always been positive. Whether it be for a forklift operator, office, or warehouse position, we have found everyone to be reliable and dependable. It is great to see employees take such pride in their job and enjoy the work that they do." OMS is, again, another champion employer. They have worked with us for a number of years now and have hired multiple people for various positions. We work collaboratively with the employer, again, to match the person's skill set with the specific needs of the employer. And you can see Brad here. Brad is beside Melanie and the owner, Tom. Brad has worked at OMS for 10 years. He actually works in the warehouse, and what he does is he cleans the warehouse. He ensures the shipping bays are kept tidy, removing pallets, and just ensuring the entire place is running smooth for everyone.
MentorAbility. We are excited to share with you today a new national supported employment initiative that facilitates unique short-term mentoring opportunities between employers and people experiencing disabilities. MentorAbility Canada is coordinated by the Canadian Association for Supported Employment in collaboration with Empower Simcoe. We will help match employers with a job seeker experiencing a disability for a short mentoring experience that could last from an hour to 1 day. The job seeker is just interested in learning more about a career in your sector. As a business mentor participating in MentorAbility initiative, you will agree to provide the job seeker with encouragement and advice to help them learn more about your business. That's to say, this is a new initiative with Empower Simcoe. However, some of the best ways to start is simply by having a conversation. If after today's presentation you want to learn more, please don't hesitate to contact one of us and get the conversation going. We would love to learn more about your business and to see if this is something that might work for you. There is no commitment, just a willingness to develop a relationship. And in conclusion, Empower Simcoe is a multi-service nonprofit agency that provides a wide range of programs and supports. Today you learned about employment support services. Employment support services assist people with intellectual disabilities to find competitive employment. Job seekers receive support tailored to their specific skills and career goals. Employers are supported with advice and resources to help meet their unique labor needs. The belief that everyone who wants paid work can attain it if the proper supports are in place. There is much evidence and literature available about why inclusive hiring is good for business. Hiring inclusively can also lead to reduced staff turnover, increased staff morale, customer loyalty, reduce costs, and benefits all employees. It is a successful, accepted, and flexible model for assisting individuals experiencing disability to obtain meaningful and competitive employment. We would like to finish today's presentation with a success story on Daniel.
Hi, I'm Sandra Wadsworth, and I'm the General Manager at Milestones in Barrie. First, I want to say we believe in a diverse culture here at Milestones. Daniel contributes so much as far as his personality. He brings so much light to the team. He's very involved with the team, lots of energy. He does our Hobart area, and he also helps portioning, which he is always on spec when it comes to standards and what we do here at Milestones.
Hi, I'm Daniel Burton. I work for Milestones. I do the dishes and the portioning, and I wash the dishes like this. And then I put it in the Hobart.
My name's Ethan. I'm Daniel's supervisor here at Milestones. You learned like proper sanitization, cleaning. When he first started, in the last couple of weeks, Daniel started to do portioning. He's learned a lot of portion control, food quality, that sort of thing. We really enjoyed having Daniel here as part of the Milestones team. He's definitely a big part of what we do here.
I believe here at Milestones, everybody deserves fair opportunity. Daniel has shown us that there's no limits, or he continues to evolve in the restaurant, learning new things. He never creates limits to what he's capable of doing, and he just teaches us new things every single day.
Hi, I'm Daniel Burton, and thank you for putting me in Milestones.
And that's it.
That's awesome. So we've got a pile of questions here. I was right. I knew that there would be a bunch. Way back when, I worked for McDonald's for many years, and here in Barrie in particular, just to keep it sort of local, we were involved in one of these programs as well, where we would have I had a couple of guys with Down syndrome that would come in, and they were chaperoned, obviously, but really look forward to those days. They became a part of the day staff, and customers expected to see them, and it was a really great program. I'm not quite sure why it stopped. I had no control over it at that point, but it certainly was something that didn't take away from the experience for our customers or our staff, and it's great to see that it's still happening, and that they're productive, and that sense of accomplishment that these guys get is fantastic. So anyways, let's answer a few questions then, and see where we go. So these are a lot of these are sort of business related questions along the lines of supports and that kind of thing. What what kind of grants are available to help business cover costs for any kind of physical accommodations for employees who may need them? Let's say that they want to make some adjustments to be a part of a more permanent program. Are there funds available to do that physically within the restaurant or within the business?
So, sorry, just to clarify, the question was to actually make changes within their business, or to be able to be hiring people?
Yeah, it says, are there grants or funds available to help businesses cover the cost of physical accommodations for employees who may need them?
Yes, absolutely. There are grants available to make some changes to make your building more accessible, or to absolutely, yes, there is some funding available for that.
Is that stuff that comes provincially, or can you access that through Empower Simcoe?
We could certainly help guide towards that, but no, we do not hold that funding. That would be something would be applied for from the company or from the
we can manage
business.
that whole process in terms of if somebody's interested in having somebody come in, they'll take a look. I imagine there's a site assessment? Like, what kind of process do you go through when you're onboarding and training both the employer and the employee as they get ready to take on one of these roles? Is there like a pre-screening that happens with the business if they're interested in getting part of the product?
So we meet with the employer. Again, we want to learn as much as we possibly can about that position and about the role. And we found that that is really the best way to try and match the person for the person's skill set with that particular job. So again, it's about building that relationship and just having those talks and again, really understanding what's involved in the role.
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't know about you, Sandy, but over the years, accessibility hasn't been something that we typically work on. And I say that just because there doesn't need to be any physical changes for when we support people, for the majority of the people that we support. So, we don't need it. I would say the majority of people aren't in wheelchairs. They're not having any kind of physical limitations. So we would be able to do any of the accommodations ourselves.
Okay. The second question wasn't more around the physical aspects of the business. It's more about preparing the staff that are already working there, that you're bringing in a new employee with some disabilities, and is there training that sort of goes on to make sure that that environment is inclusive, and that, they're not starting at a disadvantage. I guess that's where I'm going. More training for the ownership or the existing staff in getting ready for taking on one of these situations. Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't sure if I should. So I know in the past, Paul, it's been more ourselves and our coach, our job coach that we have that would provide that. We can provide, disability education, but at the same time, what we find is that everybody is so different that it's just easier to have our coach go in and be the expert on site, so to speak,
Gotcha.
As well as having us as a resource. So we kind of do it that way as opposed to a disability training.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to frame that. Some of the questions are more around how do we get involved and how do we get prepared if this is something that we want to do. So, okay. With many, there's a question here, with many disabilities being invisible, legislation in place to protect privacy, what's the best way to approach the subject with a person you suspect may be having a psychological disability that's impacting performance? Or how do you make a safe space for them to self-disclose without crossing the line of what you're allowed to ask? So I would imagine this would be, I'm not sure where this question is coming from, but a situation where you've already hired somebody that may be showing signs of having some sort of a disability. Is there, I guess that's where the question is coming from.
I guess, well, again, and very true. A lot of people, it's not a visible disability, but we would, and we're certainly not at liberty to go and talk about what a person's disability is. We would talk and with the person's consent, of course, share what their best learning style would be. Yeah. Sometimes people will choose to be able to disclose what their disability is and share that with the employer. And certainly moving forward as relationships are built, when a person feels that, they feel comfortable sharing that.
Gotcha. Okay. Are there places that I should be, posting my job ads to reach a more inclusive market? I know obviously reaching out to Empower Simcoe is a great idea, but are there other places that offer the similar services in our region?
As far as other service providers, I believe there are. I'm not sure on all of them. Careers for Inclusion. I'm not. Sandy, are you more familiar with?
Yeah, there's a number of other service providers, absolutely, and within our community there is. Sorry, there was a second part of the question there, Paul, that you had.
Well, you just said, are there places that I should be posting my job ads to reach a more inclusive market?
Okay, something about posting, that's a great question right there. In terms of to reach it, some people may choose not to even consider a position based on everything that is everything that might be listed. Would really encourage, when you are looking at posting something, if you want to include everyone, really look at what it exactly is going to be required for the job. Is a license necessarily required for that job? A driver's license. Some people do have a driver's license, some people may not. But just even something as little as that, if it's not really a requirement to be able to complete the job successfully, then maybe take a look at what's being listed for your job posting.
Yeah.
So that's something we would suggest.
And even the language, just kind of watching the language so that it's in the easiest form to comprehend and understand. I think that really promotes an inclusive workforce as well.
Right.
We're finding a lot of the ads, we have to try to explain it to people, what it is that they're trying to say, what they're looking for. If we can get it to be a little bit more specific, it makes it a little easier.
Okay. Okay. Now, do you have job boards at Empower Simcoe, that list up, so maybe the opposite? I know that there's some technology, or there's a company called Spot that is actually, it's like an Uber-like kind of an application where you can find people, and it has some diversity and inclusion built into it, so that it's you can place people with disabilities into positions that it's more like a matching kind of a thing. So have you guys seen any of that, or is there any processes in place at Empower Simcoe that kind of use that technology, or taking a different approach with sort of seeking out people with positions rather than the other way around?
That's a great idea.
That is.
At this point, we don't tend to do it that way. We're, I guess, more person focused. So the person would come to us, and then we're looking at, what is it that they're wanting for their employment,
Gotcha.
as opposed to the other way around. But, I think that's a great idea that we could actually flip it and have employers looking for us.
Yeah. I'll connect you with these guys at some point, and you can figure out where they need to go within the organization. It's a really interesting platform. It's new. It's just and it makes perfect sense in getting people positioned properly, and it's based on merit. So if they did a good job somewhere, they would be available in another place. So an interesting process, anyways. If we're hiring somebody through your programs, what is the process? Do you come to use that same question? Do you come to a site visit to see how your clients could fit within our workspace, and make recommendations for accommodations? Or do you just accompany them for an interview and assist them with coordinating the process?
Again, we really encourage, just employers to reach out, gladly have a chat with them. Again, just having that discussion and just talk. We do like to go and see the workplace. Again, learn about the position, learn about what exactly it is they're looking for. And we would introduce them to the person. And yes, we do assist people at the interview, and remain involved also with the employer as that resource and connection moving forward.
Cool. Okay. Do you have any specific categories for employment for hire, or is it for all positions? The question here is just admin, forklift, or any positions that I have available.
Well, again, I think Diane kind of mentioned also, it depends on who we're supporting at that point in time, and what kind of job they're looking for, or what would they like to, what's their vision for moving forward. We have had a number of people doing forklift. We've had people working from office work to, it's just vast, very, very vast. And again, it depends on the person, but we would always encourage anybody who had any questions just to reach out, and we could certainly have some of those discussions.
Right. So Diane, you were mentioning that you have lots of connections with Tim Hortons in a number of different employers. I think in your bio, you said you have like 60 connections, I guess, which are where you place people. How do you go about finding places to place individuals? Is that just through, that many years of obviously doing it and creating relationships with people, but how does somebody get involved with that?
So for me, when I'm looking, a lot of times it depends on the person's interest. So I may be working directly with the person and then connect with an employer. That's kind of how it starts. But what ends up happening is you develop that relationship with the employer and you find out a little bit more about their business. And maybe that person isn't the right fit right at the right time, but knowing what that business does and what they offer really helps. Like I had said before, there's 4 of us, 4 employment support coordinators. So I may go back to the team and say, okay, well, this person didn't fit with this position. Do you have anybody? This is what the employer is looking for. You know, this is the skill set. Are we able to help? I think Sandy had pointed out a while back about that we are not really an employment agency. So it's not like we have a pool of people that are waiting for jobs. Mind you, we do have some people that are looking for certain and specific jobs, but it's not like an employer can reach out and we can have a pool of people and go, oh yeah, well, here's John and he can certainly fit this.
Right.
So it's a little different that way, but it's great when we have all these connections over the years, because it makes it so much easier when we have new people to come in and go, oh yeah, I remember, you know, in March, you know, the bakery is always looking for people to hire. And
Right.
this person is interested in the bakery. So you develop that relationship that way.
So it's more of a customizable thing. It's based on the individual's skill sets and everything else, and you know, you just work to find the place to put them. So okay, so businesses, I guess, that are interested in having you know, that as a part of their culture should contact you and say, listen, we're open and available. These are the kinds of things that we would think are available for people with disabilities, and you know, if somebody comes across your bow, let us know and let's see what we can do to work it out. Okay, so I think that's that makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of these questions are based around the agency model, and they don't really fit with what you guys are doing. So that makes a lot of sense. From a payment standpoint, they would just be on the regular payroll. There's no change in the way that they're paid for the work that they do. This certainly isn't free. I mean, that's the whole point of this is having them be included. Are there supports for businesses that choose to embrace people with disabilities, or whether they be intellectual or physical, that you know?
Yes, we can. Empower Simcoe does not hold any wage subsidies. We do not have that, but we can certainly access. Wage subsidies.
Yeah.
And but again, that's just a conversation. A lot of subsidies change, and but you know, again, it's that conversation, and we could certainly that is certainly something we can do.
Good. Okay. Sorry, I'm going through. There's a couple of questions in here that are all around that subject line in there. Suppose we already did that. Short-term employment and long-term employment. My business is seasonal. I'm wondering if that can be accommodated.
Absolutely.
What kind of places have you got that are doing the seasonal type thing? Resorts, restaurants, that kind of thing.
Snow removal, grass cutting. Yeah.
Retail.
Yeah.
Lots of retail.
Good. Okay, that's nice to know.
One of our big employers is Costco, and Costco does seasonal hiring both at Christmas time and probably now spring. They're starting to look for people, so they will reach out to us and find out if we have anybody before they move forward.
Cool. That's kind of neat. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense for businesses to, you know, be able to find great people and also help the community out. I think I asked that question about getting involved with the program. Still create a profile. I think we've answered that. So the coaching and talk a little bit about how that works. So how many coaches do you have? You said there's 4 employment counselors. How many coaches are out there as well that work with the place people?
So the job coach, we work in coordination with the job coach, the employer, and the person supported. We try to have, so it is just the same coach going into the one business, so they're not being inundated with a number of different people. And again, they're there as an additional set of ears. Diane, I think you made mention of this. They're there to support the person to learn. We will talk about, you know, if different strategies. Perhaps the person may need a list to be able to complete the tasks, or it can be something incredibly simple. Sometimes there's nothing. It's just the job coach is just providing, okay, do you remember what was next? And just sort of giving that person confidence to move forward. Or at other times it's, if you have a question, who is it you would direct this question to? Knowing who to go to, knowing who to do this. And that's essentially what their role is.
So in a longer term situation, I would imagine that the coach isn't there every day. People come to work, they just do their job. And then when they're needed to come in to resolve a situation, that's where they step in.
Yeah, so the job coach would be there initially. And again, not always. It depends on what the employer's comfort level is and what the person's confidence and comfort level is. There's been many people that start without a coach, but that is certainly something we can offer, that support that we can offer.
Yeah, very neat. So again, my experience with it was fantastic. There was always a coach in that situation, but I've worked with people with disabilities in the past. I worked at the Sky Dome for many years. We had a lot of people in downtown Toronto that came in and did different things, whether they worked for the Sky Dome in general or whether they worked for us. And I always found it to be a great experience. And I don't know, just the excitement and the energy level when you get people that are just so happy to be, doing something that's productive. I think it's contagious, and you can feel it when it's working right. So it's just great. So if is there anything that you didn't cover, and come kind of at the end of questions, a lot of them were the same, and I think we were sort of going in circles. Is there anything that you wanted to add in that maybe didn't get covered, or somebody's coming with something from the panel in here. Love today's conversation. Thank you for having it. If someone does not have an intellectual disability, they can contact ODSP and speak with a caseworker about employment supports as well. Even if they're not on income support, for your information, that's all. Cheers. So good comment from somebody from our panel or from the audience, and good to know as well. So along those lines, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about? I know we were pretty comprehensive with the presentation, but we've got a few minutes to get something else out if you like.
I think we'd just like to say, if anybody had any questions, or even if they were just contemplating something, to just feel free to reach out and give us a call. And not that you're obligated to do anything, but just have that conversation. And if you have any questions, we'll gladly take some time to go over that.
Sounds good. Thank you very much for your presentation today. We'll give everybody a few minutes back. I've got some stuff that I got to talk about here that is our normal at the end of one of these presentations. Just talking a little bit about what's going on at the chamber. But thank you very much for joining us, ladies. Really appreciate it. Your
Thank
time
you for having us.
Yeah,
thanks, Paul.
It's interesting, and hopefully we can help to facilitate some connections for people with you guys, and see if we can get some people employed and moving forward. We've got a few things coming up. On April 6th, we have our employment program at 1 p.m. Learn more about the employment supports offered by the Métis Nation of Ontario and how they can help grow your workforce. Back in on April 7th, the next day, for Chamber Chat Networking at noon. Always a fun hour of, some of it's serious, most of it's fun, but a good way to get connected with people, especially during the pandemic. And again, we are in the final few weeks of our takeout challenge, sponsored by Paul Sadlin Motors. We're giving away 2 $100 prizes each week, just for sharing pictures of your takeout orders with us. Even have a $1,000 grand prize from Cool FM that'll be given away mid-April. So check the contest details on our website and which restaurants are participating, and start eating. If there's a restaurant that you love that's not on our list, mention it to us, mention it to them. It's free to join. There's no cost involved. And we're happy to take people on and help out our small businesses as best we can. With that, I would encourage everyone also to go to our YouTube channel and subscribe and have a look at our Barrie Business Awards, which were held on Thursday last week. Lots of fun, very entertaining evening, and you get to see the best and brightest of Barrie. In that it's a short hour and 48 minutes, but it is fun. It highlights our Ian Mogash from Theatre by the Bay, And again, some of our great local businesses were celebrated. So with that, I will say goodbye and thank you very much for coming. So
Thank
bye-bye,
you.
ladies.
Bye.
Lots appreciate your time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.